Dear devotees, for joining us here on a Saturday evening. Thank you so much, Sonal Mataji, for having this idea of having Krishna Katha more frequently. So from this point onwards, we are hoping that we will be reading the Bhagavad Gita at least twice a month. So we'll start with that frequency and then we'll see. So we had talked on an overview of Bhagavad Gita, and there are more there in the book. But today we're going to start from chapter 1 because I want to have some active participation. And the content that is covered in the chapters prior to chapter 1 by Srila Prabhupada is valuable, and we'll bring that in as and when we find a connection to that in the chapter itself. So everybody has got the books, Bhagavad Gita, and as Sonal Mati said, everybody has got their glasses also. I can see 4 pairs of glasses in the audience. Very good. Okay, so let's get going here. Say that again. We will cover all the slokas, reading it together, right? And then we will go as and when, as much as we can. I'm thinking of, so it's like 6:30 right now. Maybe 7:15, we will aim to end everything, right? And then do the arti and all that stuff, right? And question and answers, reflections, etc. We'll cover that. So we'll just play it by the ear because it's the first time that we are doing it. So I also don't know how it's going to go there, right? Okay, so having said that, let me start sharing my screen. Of course, you won't see, but this is being recorded, so that's why I'm doing that. And also, okay, where are we? Today is. And thank you so much, Ritvik, for holding the fort while we were waiting to get started on the japa chanting. Beautiful kirtan by you today. And without much ado. So from next point onwards, what I was planning to do was we'll do the setup like electronically in the homes, and we will broadcast and project on a wall or on a screen so that everybody can see and everybody can follow through, right? It works nice that you're all looking at the same screen, but that's fine. Today is okay for us. And then, is that Krishna coming in? Because I don't see anybody. Slideshow, okay. And so, share, just share. All right, I'll start with my acknowledgements. First, acknowledging Srila Prabhupada for translating these books into English language so that we can all learn that. Also to my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshika Das Prabhu, for guiding me for more than a decade now. To ISKCON Acharyas who have done more translations and done the tippanis and the commentaries and given lectures, etc., from which we all learn. My thanks are also to Rakesh Rajput Prabhu for driving me here and not taking any rest, coming straight from office, barely catching a little bit, few wings, and then coming here. I really appreciate that. And then to my host, Sonal Mataji, present here, and also to Ravi Prabhu in absentia. There, and then of course to all the participants here, because Krishna Katha is not possible without the participants and the speaker and everybody in between. Okay, so chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, observing the armies on the battlefield. So, and thank you, iPhone, and I don't know who's on iPhone. I'm assuming it's both me on the iPhone, but whoever is there, welcome. And if you change your name on iPhone on Zoom, then I'll know who I'm talking to. So this is what I'm thinking of doing today, is that we will go verse by verse, okay? And I will speak the Sanskrit like one line, and then you repeat so that, you'll get familiar with the Sanskrit and with the pronunciation. And then we will go, after we do that for one verse, then this way we'll go through the entire chapter so that you would have recited the entire chapter in Sanskrit. And then we will go into the translation where you all can read, right? Okay, so starting with our prayers to the spiritual master first. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjan Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Starting from Bhagavad-gita, chapter number 1, verse number 1. Dhritarashtra Dharmashetre Kurukshetre. Little louder. Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. Sanjay Uvacha Drishtva tu Panduvanikam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit Paschetam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupadaputrena Tava Sishyena Dhimata Atra Shura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharathaha Drishtaketuschekitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Shebascha Narapungavaha Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta Uttamajascha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarva Eva Maharathaha Asmakam tu Vishishtaye Tani Bodha Dvijottama Nayaka Mama Senyasya Sangyartam Tan Brahmimite Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitim Jayaha Ashvathama Vikarnascha Somadattisthate cha Anye cha bhavaha shura Madharte tyakta jivitaha Nana shastra praharanaha Sarve yuddha visharadaha is connected. Aparyatam tadasmakam Balam bhishma bhirakshitam Paryaptam tvidamet eteshan Balam bhima bhirakshitam Ayaneshu cha sarveshu Yatha bhagam avasthitaha भीष्मम् एवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि तस्य सञ्जनयन् हर्षम् गुरुवृद्धः पितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चै शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान् तथा शङ्काश्च भैर्यश्च पणवानकगोमुखः सहसैव्याभहन्यन्ता सशब्दस्तुमुलोऽभवत् तथा श्वेतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महती स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदद्मतुः पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्खम् भीमकर्मावृकोदरः अनन्तविजयं राजा कुन्तीपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः नकुलः सहदेवश्च सुघोषा मणिपुष्पकौ काश्यश्च च परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः दृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्च पराजितः द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथ्वीपतेः सौभद्रश्च महाबाहुः शङ्खं दद्मौ पृथक् पृथक् सघोषो धार्तराष्ट्राणाम् हृदयानि व्यदारयत् नभश्च पृथिवीं चैव तुमुलोऽभ्य अनुनादयन् अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदमाह महीपते अर्जुन उवाच सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत यावदेतान् निरीक्षेऽहम् योद्धुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे योत्स्यमानानवेक्षेऽहम् य एतेऽत्र समागतः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेर्
धातराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः
युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः
युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः
सञ्जय उवाच
सञ्जय उवाच
एवमुक्तो ऋषिकेशो
एवमुक्तो ऋषिकेशो
गुडाकेशेन भारत
गृहवेशेन भारत
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम्
स्थापयित्वा
भीष्मद्रोणा प्रमुखतः
विश्वं
सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम्
सर्वेषां च महीषिणाम्
उवाच पार्थ पश्चैतान्
उवाच पार्थ पश्येताम्
समवेतान् कुरुनिति
समवेतान् इति
तत्र पश्च स्थितान् पार्थ पितॄन् अथ पितामहान्
पितामहः
आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातॄन्
आचार्यमातुलान् भ्रातॄन्
पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा
पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखीन् सह
स्वशुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि
सेनयोरुभयोरपि
तान् समीक्ष्य कौन्तेय
कौन्तेय
सर्वान् बन्धून् अवस्थितान्
सर्वान्
कृपया पर्याविष्टो
कृपया परयाविष्टो
विषीदन्निदमब्रवीत्
विषीदन्निदमब्रवीत्
अर्जुन उवाच
अर्जुनोवाच
दृष्ट्वेवं स्वजनं कृष्ण
दृष्टिमान् स्वजनं कृष्ण
युयुत्सं समुपस्थितम्
युयुत्सं समुपस्थितं
सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि
सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि
मुखं च परिशुष्यति
मुखं च परिशुष्यति
वेपथुष्य शरीरे मे
वेपतुष्य शरीरे मे
रोमहर्षस्य जायते
रोमहर्षस्य जायते
गाण्डीवं संसते हस्तात्
गाण्डीवं संसते हस्तात्
त्वक्चैव परिदह्यते
वक्षैव परिदह्यते
न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं
न च स्थातुं
भ्रमतीव च मे मनः
भ्रमतीव च मे मनः
निमित्तानि च पश्यामि
निमित्तानि च पश्यामि
विपरीतानि केशव
विपरीतानि केशव
न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि
न पश्यामि
हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे
हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे
न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण
न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण
न च राज्यं सुखानि च
न च राज्यं सुखानि च
किन्नो राजेन गोविन्द
किन्नो राजेन गोविन्द
किं भोग्यजीवितेन वा
किं भोगेन जीवेति वा
येषाम् अर्थे काङ्क्षितं नो
येषाम् अर्थे काङ्क्षितं नो
राज्यं भोगः सुखानि च
राज्यं भोगा सुखानि च
तैमेव स्थिता युद्धे
नैमे स्थायुक्ते
प्राणां त्यक्त्वा धनानि च
प्राणं त्यक्त्वा धनानि च
आचार्यः पितरः पुत्रास्
आचार्य पितरः पुत्राः
तथैव च पितामहः
तथैव स्वपितामहः
मातुलः श्वशुरा पौत्रा
मातुला पुत्रा
शाला सम्बन्धिनस्ततः
शालासम्बन्धिनः
एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि
एतान् इच्छामि
घ्नतोऽपि मधुसूदन
एवं
अपि त्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य
राजस्य
हेतो किं नु मही कृते
हेतो किं नु मही कृते
निहत्य धार्तराष्ट्रान्
निहत्यमात्राशानां
का प्रीति स्यात् जनार्दनः. So we are going to read verse 36 from the first chapter. जाके खोल के बता बेटे. जा ऋत्विक.
UHF is connected.
36 का बेटे.
Page number 54. No, 57. No, 54.
हाँ, अलग अलग भगवत गीता में अलग अलग पेजेस होंगे. थोड़ा सा रुकते हैं. अभी ये सजन आए हैं, उनको पेज दिखा देते हैं. देन विल कंटिन्यू द रिसाइटेशन फ्रॉम 36. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Papamevashraye dasman, Hatvetan atatayinaha, Tasmanarhavayam hantum, Dhartarashtran sabandhavan, Swajanam hi katam hatva, Sukhinaha syama madhava, Yadyepetena pashyanti, Lobo pahata chetasaha, Kulakshaya kritam dosham, Mitradrohe cha patakam, Katham nyageyam asmabhihi, Papat asman nivartitum, Kulakshaya kritam dosham, Prapasyat bhi janardana, Kulakshaya pranashyanti, Kuladharmaha sanatanaha, Dharme nashte kulam kritsnam, Adharmo bhi bhavyat uta, Adharma bhi bhavat Krishna, Pradushyanti kulastriyaha, Srishu dushtashu varshneya, Jayate varna sankaraha, Sankaro narakayaiva, Kulagnanam kulasya cha, Patanti pitaro yesham, Lupta pindo dakakriyaha, Toshareter kulagnanam, Varna sankara karakai, Utsyadante jati dharmaha, Kuladharmascha shashvataha, Utsanna kuladharmanam, Manushyanam janardana, Narake niyatam vaso,
UHF is connected.
Bhavati iti anushushruma, Aho batmahat papam, Kartum vyavasita vayam, Yad rajya sukhlobhena, Hantum swajana udyataha, Yadi mam apratikaram, Ashastram shastrapanayaha, Dhasarashtrarane hanyus, Tanme shemataram bhavet. Sanjay uvacha, Evam Uktvārjunah Sankhe
Evam Upāsamhe
Tathopastha Upavisat
Tathopastha
Visujya Sasaram Chapam Shokasam Vignamanasa. Om Tat Sat. Iti Srimad Bhagavad-gitasu. Iti Srimad Bhagavad-gitasu. Upanishadsu. Brahma Vidyayam. Yoga Shastre. Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Arjun Vishad Yogo Nama. Prathamo Adhyayah. Hari Om. So now we will do the translation of the whole chapter. And so what do you suggest? What do you think will work? Should we all read in unison together? Should we all read it together, the translation? All of us together? Let's try it this time, right? Because we are still setting this up. Might take some time, right? So in the interest of time, let's go back to chapter 1, verse number 1. This time only the translation, which is in bold in your book, right? Let me know when you are all ready. Okay, are we ready? Translation, chapter number 1, starting with verse number 1. So when we are reading together, there will be some rules because we are riding on the freeway of Bhagavad-gita. So comma means we stop for a short time. Period means we really stop there. Okay. And Ritvik is here. He will be issuing speeding tickets if you go very fast. Okay. So when you're reading, try to also hear what others are speaking and catch the speed, right? And try to read in unison then. Okay. Translation. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher. Translation, is it ready now? Okay. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe people can take turns and read together. Oh, they'll have to come here. Okay, then let's continue as we are. And then for questions, they can come here. Okay. But thank you for setting it up, Ritvik. Translation. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhan, Virat, and Drupada. Here, yeah. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So go slow, go slow. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhuri Shrava, who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma As you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Pause at commas. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhan joy. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya, Arjun blew his, the Devdatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Anant Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sughosh and Manu Pushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter, Sikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. The blowing of these different conch shells
UHF is
became
connected.
uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. There, Arjun could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow, Gandiva, is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will be derived from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? O Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna,
UHF is connected.
the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life for both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Sanjay said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So we have read one chapter of Bhagavad-gita in Sanskrit and also the translation. So that's very good. Congratulations for doing that. And so now, since we are doing this for the first time, we will go and see how far in that we can go, right? But before that, was there anything when we were reading that struck your mind that we should pick up first? Anything? And reflections will be given by the kids, Devi? Okay. You didn't remind, so that's why I'm asking. Okay. So let's go back. So just for the benefit of those who are online, I'm saying that Sonal Mataji is sharing that having read the Bhagavad Gita first chapter, it reminded her of, how we also are like Arjuna in our real life. Yeah, please continue. Okay, this goes there. It's not short of wire. Okay. This cannot move any further because that wire is short, I think. Not that bad. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah, you can come closer. Like they say in the temple that I'm a vegetarian, I won't eat you. Come close, come close. Yeah, come sit up close, sitting up close. Upanayanam.
So with the
Oh, we have two. Very good.
in our lives, we feel so weak.
Put it close to your chin.
So, like we feel like how Arjun is feeling weak in the battlefield, the same way we also feel weak in everyday life in this material life.
Very good. Is volume come like it is good? I'm just wondering if those who are online can watch it. I can see that. Okay. Yeah, so how they can be, how we become weak, right? And so which is good. Actually, this chapter starts with the Bhagavad Gita starts with a lot of weakness, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Pavitra, you wanted to say something? Yeah. She gave you the mic. Okay. Yeah, the mic now to speak. How about you, Devi? You wanted to say something? Okay. Ritvik, you want to say something? Yeah, please share. Before you say anything, Ritvik, I have a question for you. This chapter you have memorized the whole, right? Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. Okay, go ahead. Nice.
Chapter, I learned from
Keep your microphone
I
close.
learned from a class that
Good.
family traditions are very important.
Very
And
nice.
that's what I picked up on. If we lose our family traditions, we lose all chance in this life.
In this life, very good observation. So isn't your mommy doing such a good job setting the family tradition? Right? This is family tradition. Like in the evening when you have time off, the family tradition should be that we'll sit down and we'll do Krishna Katha. Yeah, yeah. And of course, when the Bhagavad-gita was spoken recently, a lot of traditions had already gone bad, right? I mean, we know from the Mahabharata, we know so much was going bad there, right? So now let's go. Any other comments? Any other thing that you want to share? No, not yet. Okay. You can write down your reflections and then you can read from there also. Okay. You have one to say? You're very good. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. I think it's also Arjuna's, what Arjuna is saying is also a clear reflection of our minds every day. The battle that we go through, whether we are doing the right thing or
Right.
the wrong things.
Right.
Because a lot of, or even in every conversation or relationship or anybody we meet, ego comes like, I'm superior. That thing comes, Madhuri,
Yes.
yet, or we expect others to give respect to us something. So how to handle that relationship is, I'm really looking forward to what Bhavan says to Arjuna back for
Oh.
all of these questions.
Yes, very nice. Yes, very nice. And the whole Bhagavad Gita will kind of mold us there. Yeah. And it's very interesting that you said that we fight the same fight. And so people sometimes say that the Mahabharata actually goes on in this body all the time, every day, as soon as we open the mind. We're going to say something?
Yes,
Okay.
I was reflecting that how this fight is like internal fight.
It's
Fight with yourself. Like it's the beginning of our journey where I think your spiritual life has to begin, and before that you come to a point where it's like too much for you. That fight has not the fight has not yet begun, but you are at the point that you don't understand the life, and you start asking questions within yourself that what is happening or how much you have done for others, or what is the right thing you should do, or what should you say, take a stand. So I feel that's where Arjuna is standing, and that's where we are standing at the beginning of our spiritual life. And then when the Guru comes in the picture, just like Krishna, he guides us that how right action should be taken, and not based on our on attachment, lust, greed, anger, or all five things. So right thing, your dharma should be done, and then you start realizing when you do things in based on dharma, then you start getting the realization that actually no one is yours. When you do the right thing, you will really realize that jnana comes into picture. Where karma, that you do karma and then jnana comes, and then you do dhyana, and that's how it goes on.
Goes on. Exactly right. Very good. Thank you for sharing those reflections. Pushpa, you are thinking something? Okay, not yet. Okay. So let's go to chapter number 1 because you all use some very nice keywords, and I wanted to just talk about those and bring them in from verse number 1. So open your books or cell phones. So verse number 1, Dhritarashtravacha dharma kshetre kurukshetra. Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamakaha Pandavascheva Kim Akurvat Sanjaya. So when I first started reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is, from by Srila Prabhupada, I was very surprised because all that I knew was that Bhagavad Gita is a book by, it was spoken by Krishna, right? So I was expecting Krishna Vacha would be the first words of Bhagavad Gita, right? But here it is like, oh, Dhritarashtravacha, like, so Bhagavad Gita starts with Dhritarashtravacha. Why does it start with Dhritarashtravacha? Why not Krishna Vacha, right? Go ahead. Yeah.
Because Krishna only comes in the Bhagavad Gita after Arjuna realizes he has to surrender unto him.
Very nice. So one of the points is the fact is that Krishna will only speak when you surrender. So Krishna really starts speaking in chapter number 2, right? He speaks very briefly, or not exactly as such, quote unquote, but he speaks in chapter 1 also, where he says, Pashyatam Kuruniti, to go and see all these people situated there. Yeah. So now, so that is the fact that Krishna speaks there, right? But why does Dhritarashtra speak in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita? Is because Bhagavad Gita has to start with telling us that look at the fears, look at the attachments that are there. And you said that after some time we come to know that nobody is ours, and they're like, why did I have so much of attachment, right? So Dhritarashtra is talking about it, and in the beginning itself he says dharma cheta krutsita samyeta yuyutsava mamaka pandavascheva, right? So here dharma cheta krutshetra, I'll address that, but talking about the attachments, right? Attachment, he's saying mamakaha, right? Mamaka means mine, mere, right? So Mamaka and Pandavascheva. Although Pandavas, the sons of Pandu and his own sons, the Kauravas as they are called, they are one and the same. And a Tau or uncle should not be distinguishing between his own sons and the sons of his brother. To them, everybody should be there just like sons only. So you should just be saying, my son. And I saw that obviously that tradition is not that much prevalent these days, especially with the nuclear family. The nuclear family lead to these kind of things where, the couple lives there and like, these are my kids. And, the other brother lives in some other home, some other city, some other country, has some kids. These are my kids, like that, right? But when you're living in a joint family, everybody is your kid, right? So, Dhritarashtra is saying Mamaka because he's talking about mine. There itself he's saying that mine, right? And then Pandavaseva. And then he's also saying, Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra. That is his fear. Because Dhritarashtra, so this battle is happening in Dharma Kshetra. Kurukshetra is a place of pilgrimage. Like the denizens of heaven used to come to Kurukshetra. And so here he's saying that this battle is happening, the Mahabharata battle is happening in Kurukshetra. So he's thinking like, when the cricket match happens, and if the cricket match, like you're having India versus Australia, for
UHF
example.
is connected.
So India versus USA, India versus Australia cricket match is happening. And if it happens in Delhi, the advantage is with India because it's your home ground, right? They say everywhere, in baseball, everywhere they say it's when your home ground because everybody's going to shoot for you, right? And so here it is Dharamkshetra, the war is happening in a Dharamkshetra. So everybody and anything dharmic is going to side with the Pandavas. So that fear is there in the mind of Dhritarashtra that, oh my goodness, this war is happening, but what a place they chose. Dharm Kshetra, Kurukshetra thing happening. His fear is there that my son, Mamaka, my children are going to could be defeated. Right? So Bhagavad Gita opens with this fact that, when you have attachments, you will have fear. We read that in Bhagavatam, right? Who was attached too much in Bhagavatam and what was the fear? Somebody got attached to something very weird in Bhagavatam. Human being got attached to an animal. Bharat Maharaj got attached, right? And what was the fear?
Dear.
Yes, a deer. And what was the fear of the king?
Lose it.
You will lose it, right? Isn't that fear we always have? The moment you get something nice, the fear started, I'm going to lose it, right? Okay, so that's why Bhagavad Gita starts here with Dhritarashtra saying there, right? So Dhritarashtra and his fear. And then we go, and now the day-to-day life is starting here. So Sanjay Vacha, Drishtva tu Panduvani comes. So then Duryodhan looked at the army of Pandavas. And now in the real life, it is actually a good thing that Duryodhan is doing because he's about to fight a war. So he's trying to gauge who his enemies are. What is the lessons for us from this? From this act of Duryodhan, what is it that you can do in your life? Duryodhan went and looked at the army of the Pandavas. Who are your enemies? Anger, lust, right? These are your enemies. And biggest enemy?
Maya.
Maya, right? Exactly. So why was he looking at the army there? Why did he go to look at the army? Because they used to arrange the army in phalanx, Chakravyu type thing, right? So the way they have arranged the army, he has to look at it and then he has to plan his own strategy on how to fight, right? So similarly here in our day-to-day lives also, you have to go and see how your enemies are lined up. so that you can have your strategy, right? So like if you think that I'm spending too much time on Facebook, I'm spending too much time on WhatsApp, you should have a strategy. Leave your cell phone, come and sit in Krishna Katha, like that, right? So we have to strategize at every moment, because padam padam yat vipadam natesham. Every step there is some kind of a vipada for us, and some kind of a danger is there, right? So dishtva tu pandumanikam vyuram duryodhanastada. So he saw that, he went there, looked at the phalanx arrangement, and then what he did? He acharyam upasangamya. He went to his teacher. Who was his teacher? Dronacharya, right? So he went to it, and Raja Vachanam Abravit. So Duryodhan said these words. Okay. So something to keep in mind over here is that Sanjay, who was so Dhritarashtra is blind, right? So Dhritarashtra is blind, he cannot see. And by the way, he's sitting in Kurukshetra. Is he sitting in Kurukshetra? He's sitting in Hastinapur, right? And the war is happening in, or about to happen in, Kurukshetra. So Sanjay was given Divyadishti so that he could see from a far distance. Now, people sometimes go and say, oh, Bob, from this we can conclude that there was television at that time. 5,000 years ago, there was television in India. No. Television is an invention of Kali Yuga. That is, during the Mahabharata was Sril Dwapar. And so Sanjay can see from remote and he can narrate it to the king. Now, Sanjay is king's secretary. And so Sanjay is being very compassionate when he sees, and this is a trait of a devotee, when he sees that the king, the almighty king Duryodhan, right, at that, not Duryodhan, almighty king Dhritarashtra at that time, is fearful, attached, and he's in turmoil, right? So and Sanjay also knows that this is Dharmkshetra, Kurukshetra. Everybody knows who's going to win, right? He knows that the Kauravas are doomed to lose the war. But he's still trying to pacify his king so that, he won't feel that overwhelmed. So how does he address the king in this verse? See, look at the verse, tell me. How is he addressing the king? Drishtva tu panduvanikam vyuram duryodhanastada acharyam upasangamyam raja vachanam abravit. So how is he addressing Duryodhan? What is he calling Duryodhan? Sanjay Vacha. Sanjay said, look at the English.
Okay.
How did he look at the translation?
King Duryodhana.
King Duryodhan, right? King Duryodhan, right? Because Dhritarashtra was blind, right? So King Duryodhan, just so that pacify, like, okay, fine. Your son still has the, he's still the king. Don't feel so bad about it. So these are the nuances of, how devotees behave. Then Paschyatam Pandu Putranam Acharya Mahatim Chamu Vyudam Durat Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. So now to anybody, it'll seem like a very simple statement. He's saying, O king, behold this army of the Pandavas, right? Behold this army of the Pandavas that has been very nicely arranged. So all these military phalanxes of Chakravyus, as we call, they are arranged by the chief of the army, right? So he's saying, arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. So he's telling his teacher that your disciple, who's the son of Drupada, right? And his name was what? Drishtadimna, correct. Very nice, right? So Drishtadimna has arranged that military phalanx, and he was the chief on that side, on the Pandava side. And so anybody might just think that it's a simple, harmless statement. He's just telling his teacher that, okay, Dronacharya was on the side of Duryodhan, on the side of the Kauravas. And so he's just telling his teacher that, look at this, and then now we should strategize, right? So he doesn't just say something like that. He is a true diplomat. And we could learn from some of the diplomacy of Duryodhan. So Duryodhan, when he says, your intelligent disciple. So he's telling that, all that intelligence that this Drishtadumna has got actually came from you because you taught him. So we have to go back a little into the stories of Mahabharata to see what was going on there, right? So we know that Dronacharya has had some sort of an enmity. There was some sort of an enmity between Drupad and Dronacharya. So they both studied in the same Gurukula. Dronacharya was a Brahmin and Drupad was from the kingly family. But they were very close friends, as happens in college also, rich person and poor person can become friends. And so in that moment,
UHF is connected.
so in that moment of great friendship,
UHF is connected.
Drupada had mentioned to his friend and said to Dronacharya, Drona at that time, that, if ever you need money, we are friends, right? I will give you half of my kingdom. Half of my kingdom belongs to you. Ever you need it, I'll give it to you. So then in real life, how much money a king has and how much money a brahmana will have, right? He hardly had things. He got married to Kripi. He had a son, and Ashwathama was his son. And once, there was not even enough milk for the child to drink because they didn't have a cow. So the wife said, as wives say, that, hey, you have a friend who is such a rich person. Why don't you go and ask him for something, And so he goes and goes to the court and he asks the king, like, give me, it reminds him of his promise and asks. And the king had completely forgotten about that. And obviously, when the king promised him that, he didn't even mean it. He just said it like that. And so when he goes there, the king refuses, and Dronacharya is heartbroken from that. And he's very angry and feels very insulted, right? And then he goes back. And he keeps that at the back of his mind, that I am going to take care of this man. I'm going to have my revenge, badla, So then time passes by. He becomes a teacher for the kingly, family. And so the Kauravas go and become his students, and the Pandavas go and become his students. And he teaches them for, as long as the duration that the students used to stay in a Gurukul. And in the end, when the time comes for the students to give dakshina, Guru dakshina, so at that time he goes and says that to Arjuna, he says that I want you to bring King Drupad, make him captive and bring him here. So Arjuna was a great valiant fighter. He goes there and he's able to defeat Drupad, and he ties him up and brings him and puts him, in front of the master. And then Dronacharya, to show his magnanimity, Dronacharya says that, okay, I know that you are defeated, but you never stuck to your promise of sharing the kingdom half enough. Now my disciple has won the whole kingdom, and he has brought you and the kingdom here and laid at my feet. But I remember that promise, and I will keep that promise. So I will only take half of it, and you can keep the half of it, like that. And of course, he lets go of Drupad, but then Drupad feels very humiliated. And then he goes and has a yajna. He now wants to have badla. So you can see how this chain happening. First, the Dronacharya wants to have revenge, and he takes it, and now Drupad wants to have revenge. So he has a yajna, and he says, I want to have a son who will be capable of killing Dronacharya. And that's how, from that yajna, Drishtadyumna is born. And from that yajna, one more person was born. Who was that? Draupadi, right? So Drishtadyumna is born there. And so Drishtadyumna, and here's the funny thing, Drishtadyumna then comes to Dronacharya and says that you teach me this military art. And Dronacharya knows that this person was born out of a yag, and the purpose of the yag was to produce a person who could kill Dronacharya. And that same person comes to Dronacharya and says, teach me how to kill. Teach me the military art. But Dronacharya is so magnanimous, and by that time, right, he's matured, and he agrees and he doesn't refuse. Because at that time, he's thinking that, in any case, I have to die. Doesn't matter with whose hands I die. So he agrees to teach. So now our dear Duryodhan on the battlefield is reminding him, Tava Shishyena Dhimata, your intelligent student in this battlefield has arranged his army so nicely, but remember, he's going to be the one who's going to kill you. So Duryodhan, speaks in between the words. And very subtly he has put these used such a wonderful choice of words, and conveyed all the message to the king, to his teacher, And by the way, he's also telling him that, by the way, that should not mean that because you know he's going to kill you in the battlefield, that should not mean that you're not going to fight. You should still fight because he was leading on that side. You should still fight this particular war. Okay? And then having said that much to his teacher, then he starts to tell the teacher that, okay, let us now count what are our strong points here, right? So, atra suram heshasa, bhimarjun samayudhi, yudhano viratascha, drupadascha maharatha. So he's saying, okay, right? Let's just see. I'll tell you what strength we have, but let us first look at the army, at the enemy there, right? So now he just says, okay, my Maheshwasa, the bow and arrow. So we have got Bhim, we have got Arjun, Yuyudhan is there, Virat is there, Drupadash is there, right? Drupad, your enemy, Drupad is there. Right? They're all Maharathis. So they are there. Okay. Drishtaketu is there, Chekitana, Kashi Rajascha Virevan, Purujit, Kunti Bhoj, right? Shabya. Right? They're all
is connected.
Narapongava, they're very strong people there, right? So on that side they are there. Yudhamanyu is there. So Vikranta, very valiant, right? Uttamaja is there. Saubhadro, son of Subhadra is there, right? Abhimanyu. Draupadeyascha, right? Draupadi's sons are there. Sarva Eva Maharata, all of them are also Maharathas, right? So if we pause and think back, like our enemies are also Maharathas. Big, our senses, our enemies, our mind and enemies, all of them are Maharathas, and we should be counting all the time, every day, like who are my enemies who are going to attack me today? So, but then he says, Asmakam tu vishishta yetan nibodhidurjyotama. But now let us see what are our qualities, right? What are our strengths? Let us just look at that, right? Nayaka mama sanyasya sanghartham tam brahmimite. So let us just see. I'm going to tell you about the mighty and the powerful people who are in my army. But he doesn't just stop there. He says, who are specially qualified to lead my military force. He's telling them to somebody who's leading. And he says, there are others also who are equally qualified to lead, but I have chosen you to lead. So again, watch the play of his words as he says that, right? Bhavan, you, Bhishma Pitama is there. Bhama Bhishmascha Karnasya. Karna is also there. Kripascha Samitinjaya. Kripas is there. Kripacharya is there, right? Ashwathama is there. Vikarna is here with us, right? Somadatti is there. So all those people are here. So he's just combining, right? Anyecha Bhavashura. And then there are others also. I can't count all of them because his army was bigger, right? Anyecha Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha. They are going to give up their lives for me. Nana Shastra Pranaha, they know how to use different kinds of missiles and weapons. Like they're very, very qualified. Sarve Yuddha Visharada. Visharada means you do MSc, Vicharada, the postgraduates in the talent of fighting a war. But the interesting thing here is that we also should read between the lines that Duryodhan is trying to be, put himself across as very powerful and very strong and very brave, and we will kill them, and that kind of he's putting on that facade, but inside he is also very afraid. He's also very afraid. And so when you are afraid and you are already fearing death, then all kinds of ominous words are going to come out of your mouth. So when you are saying that, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnasya, Kripacharya, Ashwathama, Vikarnasya, Swamadhatti, Tathevacha, Annecha, Bhavashura, when you're saying all these people are there, they're all valiant fighters, why are you saying that they're going to give up their life for you? Madharte Tyakta Jivita.
Is connected.
Right? So Madharte Tyakta Jivita, they are willing to give up their lives. So why are you talking about they are willing to give up their lives? You should be saying that they are willing to kill all of them. If they are giving up the life, you already lost the war, right? So opening, balance, clean board. He said the wrong thing there, right? Then again he comes and says, Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma rakshitam paryaptam tudamete sham balam bhima bhirakshitam. So and then the translation where we are telling the mind of Duryodhan, the translation Prabhupada tells us that he's saying our strength is immeasurable. It cannot be measured. And we are perfectly protected by Bhishma Eva Bhirakshantu, by grandfather Bhishma, right? Whereas the strength of Pandavas, which are carefully protected by Bhima, that strength is limited. So we are immeasurable because they had like 13 akshanis, that is a measurement of the numerical numbers in the army, and Pandavas are only 9, so 9 versus 13. There's a big, gap there. And so we are immeasurable. Don't even talk about our measures. But those people, they're Bhima and all, they're measurable, right? Their strength is measurable. So that is how the word aparyaptam is interpreted, right? Immeasurable. Aparyaptam means immeasurable and paryaptam means measurable. But there's another meaning of paryaptam and aparyaptam, right? For those of you who go to Jagannath Puri, where they offer, Jagannath Puri is where the Lord eats, right? In Dwarka, he dresses nicely. in Jagannath Puri, he eats. So there's all talks is always about prasadam, and everybody goes there to have prasadam, and there's a special rules and an etiquette of how you have prasadam. And one of the things is that when somebody gives you prasadam, you don't say no. So then if you're sitting and you're eating and people will come and keep on pouring things on your plate and you're eating, but how do you tell them that you are done? Right? You don't want anymore. So they say paryaptam, like that. Paryaptam, sufficient, it's sufficient, right? And aparyaptam will be insufficient, opposite of that. Now let's look at this word.
UHF is connected.
Now let's look at these words by the same, now understanding this other meaning of paryaptam, which is sufficient. So he's saying, aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam. So now he's saying, aparyaptam, insufficient. What is insufficient? Our army, which is led by Bhishma Pitama over there, right? Guided by Bhishma Pitama. Paryatam tudame tesham balam bhima viraksham. That is sufficient. So you see, again, wrong choice of words he's using. So the word paryaptam can mean, aparyaptam can mean immeasurable, but aparyaptam can also mean insufficient. And that is how it turned out to be insufficient there, right? So continuing on. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yata bhagam avasthita bhishmameva bhirakshantu bhavanta sarva eva hi. So he says ayaneshu cha sarveshu. So ayaneshu means the strategic points. So in the phalanx, there'll be strategic points where you put your most powerful people. So similarly, when you are fighting with your enemies, you will put your strengths in the strategic positions, right? So if you think that my strength is cooking, right? So I'm going to use that strength in cooking food, not for myself, but for Krishna, right? So every energy, every strength that you have, you will be positioning your strength in the right place so that you use it in Krishna consciousness, like that, right? So that is strategically where you play. So Ayaneshu and Sarveshu. Yatha Bhagam. So, and then strategic position and the other positions also, right? Yatha Bhagam Avasthita, whichever way they have been organized in the military phalanx, right? Bhishmam Eva Birakshantu. Everybody, whether they are in strategic positions or whether they are in non-strategic positions, everybody should be making sure that they protect grandfather Bhishma, because Dr. Bhishma is old. So he's saying because he is old, we should be protecting him. So that kind of a thought itself is wrong. So now you're calling some people in your army as old and incapable of fighting, and so they have to be protected, right? That's not the true Kshatriya thing. Kshatriyas go and fight, right? And we saw Bhishma Pitama fought so valiantly in the war. But he's saying that, everybody should be protecting grandfather Bhishma there, right? So he's thinking, he's afraid inside, he's very, very afraid, right? And then when all this conversation is happening between Duryodhan and his teacher, Bhishma Pitama is also there. He can hear what he's telling his teacher, like that. So then what Bhishma Pitama says that Tatya Sanjanayam Harcham Kuru Vriddha Pitamaha Singhanadam Vinadyoche Sankham Dadmau Pratapaman, right? So then just to please his grandson, which is Duryodhan, what grandfather Bhishma did was he took his conch shell. He took his conch shell and blew it very loudly, so that Duryodhan will be aware of the strength that is there. And there's something about Shankh, right? When you hear that sound for the Shankh, it has a very different impact on you. Even in the temple, when they blow the conch shell, like it has. So then grandfather Bhishma, he blew his conch shell, right? And so when he blows the conch shell, that means that he is ready from his side to start the war, right? So he blew the conch shell. Then now it's a nice description. Tatha shankhascha bhairyascha panavanaka gomukhaha sehasa vyabhihanyanta sashabda tumlobhaya. So after that, what happens is, as soon as the leader starts blowing the conch shell, then all other people, they started blowing their conch shell, their drums and trumpets and whatever. Because when you're going to have fight in which you're going to die, you need a lot of energy and a lot of gusto to be able to go and fight that war. And the gusto comes from music from behind. So it's not that you play a guitar in the war like that, right? You go and play drums and bugles and trumpets, so that tumlobhyam. So tumultuous sounds. And now we know sashabdas tumulo bhavat. The sound was tumultuous. So now we know the English word tumultuous comes from the Sanskrit word tumulo, right? The Sanskrit word tumulo. So after that, everybody started sounding their conch shells. So, and then this is what happens, right? So one devotee wants to take to Krishna consciousness, starts to go and have devotee association. Everywhere you start chanting, and everybody starts chanting. One person goes to sabha like this, then slowly they will come and they will join like that. So that it goes together as a team, right? So we support each other, we encourage each other, and praise each other like that, so that they get the strength to go and fight this war against Maya. Okay? And then verse number 14 is my favorite verse, which says, Tatha shveter hayer yukte mahati sandane sito madhava pandavascheva divyo shankho pradatmatuhu. So then it almost reminds me of, like the Bollywood movies, where you will find, two brothers, they are separated at birth, and then one becomes a thief, and then one becomes a policeman or something like that. So they will show you their childhood, and then, they get separated. And then, you'll see the bad one, he appears in a four-wheel car and zzz, right? And then your small boy suddenly becomes Amitabh Bachchan on the screen like that. So this verse actually reminds me of that, Tatha shveter hayer yukte. So imagine, four beautiful horses, and there's a big Sandani, the big chariot is there. And on that chariot, Lord Krishna is sitting, and he is driving that chariot there. And Arjuna is sitting in the back of it. Just close your eyes and imagine that. And this is what, this is the devotional Bollywood that Krishna has arrived, right? And then they also blew the conch shells, but what were their conch shells? Their conch shells are defined as Divyo Shankha Pradatmatu. So Pradatmatu means to blow the Shankha. Divya, they were transcendental conch shells. So when they blow the transcendental conch shell, and this is something that you should memorize. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Pandam Dadmau Mahashankham Bhima Karma Vrikodaraha. So Panchajanyam Rishikesho. Rishikesh is who? Krishna, right? And what did he blow? Panchajanya, right? Panchajanya is his conch shell. This you should memorize. So that if anybody asks you the question, you just have to recite the verse. Right? Devadatta Dhananjaya. Who is Dhananjaya? Arjuna. Another name of Arjuna is Dhananjaya. He was always asked by his brothers to go collect the money. Like how we do fundraising. He was asked by, it's an old thing. It's not just we do it. So don't feel bad. Devadatta. Devadattam. So his conch shell is called Devadatta. Okay. So Panchajanya, Krishna and Arjun Devadatta. Pandram Dadmau Mahashankham Bhima Karma Vrikodaraha. So what is Bhim's? Pandram, right? Pandram. So Panchajanya, Devadatta and Pandram. So these are there. And then we will have Ananta Vijayam Raja, Kunti Putro, Yudhishthiraha. So Yudhishthira blew which conch shell? Ananta Vijayam. What a wonderful name. Ananta Vijayam. That itself is telling you who's going to win. He has got the conch shell. Kunti Putra Yudhishthira, Nakula Sahadevascha, and then Nakul and Sahadev. So he's talking about the Pandavas, right? Sughosha Mani Pushpaka. So Nakul, Sughosh, and Sahadev Mani Pushpak. So these are the 5 conch shells that you should remember. Right? Memorize these words. Okay, 15 and 16. Kashascha Parameshwasa, Shikhandi cha Maharatha, Drishtadyumnyo Viratascha, Satyakischa Parajita. Now then, Kashascha, the king of Kashi, Shikhandi, right? Drishtadyumno, and then Satyaki, all these, Drupudo, Draupadash, Abhimanyu, Sarvasha Prithvipate, they are all on the, kings of this world. So, Saubhadrascha Mahabahu, son of Subhadra, Shankam Tadmo Pratak Pratak. Then all of them also blew their own conch shells. Then Saghosho Dharta Rashtranam Hridayani Vidaryat Nabhascha Prithvim
is
Cheva
connected.
Tumlobhya Anunadayan. So, very interesting thing that when the Pandavas blew their conch shells, what happened? Hridayani Vidaryat, the hearts of the Kauravas were shattered. Right? And then, of course, when the sound, the tumultuous sound of their shankas was reverberating from the earth all the way up to the sky. Tumlob Abhinadinin, right? Nabhascha Prithivin Sheba, from the sky, between the sky and the sun and the soil or the earth, like that, right? We will stop here. Okay, and take more questions, etc. After that, we will continue in our next session on what happens after they have done that. But one thing to notice over here is that Sanjay, when he's narrating this story to Dhritarashtra, and Bhishma Pitama had blown the conch shell, right? But his blowing of the conch shell did not shatter anybody's hearts. But now here, when Krishna has blown his conch shell, Pandavas have gone the conch shell, the hearts of the Kauravas are all shattered. It shouldn't have happened like that. The hearts of the Kauravas also should have been, boosted by just hearing the sound of the conch shell, but it didn't happen there, right? So again, that's an ominous sign that they're going to lose the war there. Okay. Now, I want somebody to keep track of where we should start next week. It is verse number 20. No, 19. 19. So we'll start with 20. Maybe you can post it on our WhatsApp group. It stays there. Yeah. Okay. So any questions, comments on what you have heard so far? Mike Lilo. Mike, please.
I was thinking until we surrender to Krishna and all.
Yeah. Why is the sound not coming? Can you just have a look?
Thinking that until we surrender to Krishna, we are all illusioned by the material forces, and that gives rise to the weakness of heart.
Very nice. Yes. Yes. As long as we are tied to the material energy and attached to the material energy, and the Bhagavad-gita opens with that attachment. Yeah. Any other comments? Yeah. Thank you.
Like, very times, thank you. It made me say. No, we just started to visualize it like a movie when you were narrating it so nicely. I guess everyone, but myself, I can say, like, I can imagine the Rath, I can imagine the Shank, like how you were narrating, so beautiful. And then you said, we'll continue next time.
Yeah, it is like that. It is like that. And Sanjay is looking at it and he's narrating and he's speaking to the king. He has to be so careful, but he still says that. He says the truth. Because he also has to, everybody knew who's going to win. So Sanjay has to also take care that he slowly breaks the bad news to the king, like that. One more thing I wanted to point out was that open your books, first chapter, verse number 1, Dhritarashtra Vacha, tell me what's the first word after that? Dharma Kshetra, right? So first word is dharma. Okay, now go to the last word, 18th chapter, I think 78. Shloka. Yatra Yogeshwar Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdana, Tatra Chi Vijay Bhutir, Dhuva Nitir Matir. Matir Mama. Matir Mama, right? Matir Mama. So Mama is the last word. Okay, what's the first word? And what's the last word? Mama. Yeah, okay, now what's the first word? And what's the last word? What does dharma mean? Duty?
Rightness.
Rightness? So many answers to that question, right? What exactly is dharma, right? And mama means my, right? So Bhagavad-gita is going to tell you about my dharma. So right from the beginning, the first word of Bhagavad-gita, right till the end of the Bhagavad-gita, all that Bhagavad-gita is going to tell you is about your dharma or about your duty, as one person said over here. The word dharma, actually the true meaning of the word dharma, as we say that in Sanskrit, is the quality of something, right? For example, which cannot be taken away from it. For example, water. Okay, the quality of water is that it will flow from higher level to a lower level. Everywhere, every country, every planet, that's how it will behave. Summer, winter, it'll behave like that, right?
UHF is connected.
Okay.
UHF is connected.
Okay.
UHF is connected.
So, if I cannot take that liquidity from water, if I take the liquidity from water, the quality of being a liquid, if I take that away from water, how can I take away the quality of being liquid from water? Two ways I can do that. Oh, you're just stretching. I thought there was a hand raised. Huh? You freeze it. Yeah, you convert it. Yeah, convert it, right? So freeze is what I heard. So you converted that, you froze it into something else, right? So the moment, then is it water? It is ice, right? Because the quality of water is that is liquid, right? If the ice is not liquid, the ice will have a different quality. You can burn it or boil it, right? That's what you meant? Maybe we burn milk. So that's a quality of, so when you boil it, it becomes steam. So it's no longer water, it's steam. So there is no concept of, flowing and all that might not apply to steam. So we have to remember that nature is something that you cannot take away from it. And for example, fire. Tell me. For example, fire. Fire has the quality to give you heat and light, right? Heat means it'll burn you. So you cannot take away that quality of fire, of burning. So if a 2-year-old child puts his hand in fire and a 70-year-old man puts his hand in fire, both of them are going to be burned equally. Because it's the quality of fire. That quality is called dharma. Quality of dharma, you cannot take it away from that person, right? Now comes the question that, so now you will say, okay, if a person is Kshatriya, his quality is to fight. A person is a Brahmana, his quality is to read. Person is a, Shudra, his quality is to serve. A person is a Vaishya, his quality is to do, business or take, agriculture, cow protection and all that. Those are his qualities, right? And those are the qualities. But the main question that we have to now ask is that what is the quality of or a dharma of the soul? What is the dharma of the soul? What is that quality of the soul that cannot be taken away from the soul, right? And that is what Prabhupada explains in the introduction to Bhagavad-gita, where he says that the quality of a soul is to serve the Lord. The dharma of the soul is to serve Lord Krishna, serve the Lord. That is all. That quality cannot be taken away. And so even after we take the human body, because the soul is inside the human body, so the tendency to serve is still there with us. And you will see serving happening. Like, look at the house. Who serves whom? Can you give me some example of service in the home? Yeah. Take care of the kid. There you go. Mom speaking. Taking care of the kids. Do kids take care of the parents? They do, right? They do some chores around. When they get old, they take care of them. And similarly, the president will serve the nation will serve the president, the manager. So everywhere there is this service that is going on. But we have to remember that the dharma of the soul is to serve. And that is why you take any religion you take, they all talk about serving the Lord because that is what the service is. That is what the true service is. And that is why you feel so happy when you're doing that service because that is true to your nature, like that, right? So, Mama Dharma, your Dharma is what Bhagavad-gita is going to talk about in various flavors. It's going to talk about in the 18 chapters that are there in Bhagavad-gita, like that. Okay. Anything else?
So like the nature or the swabhav is considered as dharma?
Yes, you can say Subha. Yeah,
Swabhav.
nature. Yes.
हम कहते हैं ना, इसका तो nature ही है.
हाँ, इसका nature
Don't
ही.
try to change
Yes.
that.
Yes, but that Subha can be changed. That Subha through devotional service can be changed.
Yeah, but that person has to change.
Yes, and those are, so there is there's a material level and then there is a spiritual level, right? So at the material level, they will have dharma, they will have subhava also, right? But of the soul, there's only one subhava of the soul, because all souls are same and they are wired like that. They have been made and constructed and built like that to serve Krishna. That is their duty, and that is all that we should be focusing on in our life. Like that, yeah. But thank you for that distinction, yeah.
But it's two reflections when we were reading. One is the guru of Kauravas and Pandavas,
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya. So though he knew that Drishtadyumna is the only one he can kill him, but still he did his duty,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He taught him. So that's why they were, though they were on the side of Kauravas, they were still eligible for the liberation to be killed by Krishna or by Pandavas. They were chosen like that because they were still doing their dharma.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that when I was narrating the story of Drupada and Dronacharya, I was talking about that how he wanted to take revenge. And so he sent Arjun, and then Drupad was defeated, and Drupad wanted to take revenge. So he created Drishtadyumna. And then it continues here in the Mahabharata, it continued, right? So Drishtadyumna was created to kill Dronacharya, right? And Drupad wanted it. But Drupad was killed before that. So Drupad could not see that Drishtadyumna is killing Dronacharya like that, right? And then Drupad kills Dronacharya. And Drishtadyumna kills Dronacharya, but then Drishtadyumna himself gets killed by Ashwatthama. So you see how this revenge is going from one to another, one to another, one to another. And this is a karmic cycle. This is how the karmas affect us, you know. They did it with, but when you start forgiving, so that's something to focus on, that when we start forgiving people, then that chain and ping pong stops there. So it's very important for us to get into that habit of forgetting, forgiving. Yeah, because until you don't forgive, you also can't forget. Once you forgive, then till you have not forgiven, it will keep on and coming back to you, that same thing again and again with different ideas and how you can, take revenge. Like that, yeah. Go ahead. Second.
Yeah, same
yeah,
thing
second.
was coming to my mind when we were reading Mataji. Like how these small things, as you said, these small things keep adding to our mind. Just it added to this event of Mahabharata, like Drishtadyumna or
Right.
Dronacharya. So in our life also, small things adding up, and then it comes, the outcome is like Mahabharata. So it's
Exactly.
very important that we live very consciously, each and everything we deal very consciously, and forgiving means my experience is that only with sadhana, correct
Yes.
sadhana, you get the strength to forgive and take the lesson, because you can't change the other person. So you can't change the other person, but you can take the lesson from it and forgive and move on, because that person has another journey, you have another journey.
Yeah, yeah. Very rightly put. And sometimes we, very rightly put, Mataji. And sometimes we also see at work, that you find colleagues who are just so antagonistic and so they're just jumping and waiting to pounce on you the moment you make a small mistake in your work. And they will, showcase that in front of everybody. And you can see that they are behaving like that. You're angry and all that. And the lesson to take from there is that I did make a mistake. It's just that they're portraying it in a bad manner, but I did make a mistake. And the lesson for me is to not to make that mistake again, to give a chance to that person to blaspheme me like that, right? So that's extremely important. Yeah, thank you for that. Anything else?
So many things.
There's so many things like Gita, Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Yeah.
No, on a light note, I was going to say, even at work, they expect us to train everyone and they would make them run. And, with us itself on the same
Yeah.
lanes. So when you were saying that Dronacharya was asked to train even Drupada, I was like thinking, we go through the same ourselves. What?
That's very good. That's a very good observation. Yeah.
You're not saying junior, senior at work, but that's what happens.
That's the reality I was talking
Yes,
about.
yeah.
That's the reality of the material life. That if you are on your dharma, no matter what, it is my duty. I have to pray, but I'm not expecting. And you will see that people will leave you and they will go. Nobody really cares about you. So you have to just focus on your work.
Yes, yes. And also I'd like to emphasize a little bit more on the point that you raised about sadhana. It is only your sadhana. It's only devotional service that can help you. And so when I was growing up in India, there were I mean, people used to talk about Bhagavad-gita, obviously. And so if you ask anybody that, what does Bhagavad-gita talk about? It talks about your duty. You have to do your duty. And so what is duty? So duty is that, I'm a husband, so I need to take care of the family. I'm a child, I need to study. So they talk about duty at that material level only. But Bhagavad-gita is more than that. Bhagavad-gita is actually telling the duty of the soul. And that is what it makes it so different. And that is why we need somebody like Srila Prabhupada to translate and give his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita so that we learn from that. And of course, all the other acharyas. Yeah. And actually, for this story about Drupad and Dronacharya, I've heard so many flavors of that. And it could also happen and they can all be true, because these things repeat themselves, in the various yugas. So it could be that in one yuga, they have a slightly different flavor of the same story. So in one, it is like, he wanted the cow, so he took 5,000, whatever cows he took. Second is that he took half the kingdom. And in a story, I also heard that Dronacharya actually went to Drupada's court, where Drupad, the king, is sitting. And there he came and said that, you promised me half of the kingdom, give me my half of the kingdom. And obviously, that's not how you ask. So sometimes people, you never know. And then, of course, the rest is history. Is that both of them lost their lives in the end. Yeah.
But it's also a thing that Dronacharya and Drupad, they were dharmic people, right?
Yes.
In their own respective
Yes.
land.
Yes.
But they just had this small revenge.
Yes,
that took
and
their
one,
lives.
yes, exactly. And very good point, which I want to mention again here, is that sometimes we see all these people doing such abominable things, like Dronacharya, if he was fit enough to train the Pandavas, and he liked the Pandavas, Arjun was his favorite, right? Then how come he is doing all that? And then Prabhupada says in various places that Kripacharya and Dronacharya were on the payroll of the Kauravas, right? So when you are somebody's payroll, you have to listen to them, right? And so that's also one of the reasons that they have to, kind of side with Duryodhan. And Duryodhan always knew this, that he knew that he loved Arjuna more than he loved Duryodhana. But, he got Dronacharya on his side, but he knew that the heart is over there. So that fear was also there. That's what I'm saying. In the beginning, he was very afraid. He's counting everybody, Bhavan, Bhishma, Chakandasya, all that. Arjuna is there, your favorite. He's telling all that, desperate. He's very desperate. He's very, very, very desperate, yeah, at that time.
Even that, like Drupad was kind of arrogant because he was king at that time, and Dronacharya was nothing at that time. Right? So that was the power of the position where he was.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
So
yes.
otherwise, it wouldn't have happened on this thing, revenge, right? If
Yes.
there was understanding and
Yes, and we have to also remember that Krishna also said, Bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. He tells Arjuna, seventh chapter, those of you who are reading chapter 7 in the chat would have come across this verse. So he is saying, so he knows the future, and he came here to Paritranaya Sadhuna Vinashaya Chatuskritam. So he came here to that. So he will arrange it. This is big drama. And all those people are players in those drama. And when we're reading prayers of Queen Kunti, she says that, the drama people don't recognize. So those who are smart will recognize that this is the actor, who the actor is, and those who are not will just think of the main, the person that they are acting like that. But yeah, so why did they say like that? Why did they behave like that? How come Draupadi could say a word like "Andhe ka beta andha"? Wasn't she supposed to be like that? So if she had not said that, then the whole Mahabharata war wouldn't have happened, right? So sometimes they are given dialogues. They have been given a script, right? So we shouldn't be spending too much time speculating on that. It is useful. It is useful to know Mahabharata. It's useful to know Mahabharata there, but not too much. Now don't go back home and open the Mahabharata and say, oh, I don't know who is Swami Datti, I don't know who's, Ghatotkacha and all that kind of stuff. Don't spend your time on that. Spend your time reading the Bhagavad Gita. Because the essence is there. Bhagavad Gita is a part of
Yeah, in Draupadi, why she became Draupadi, I forgot the story. I don't remember, but there it is a link,
she wanted, yeah. I mean, she wanted a husband who had so many qualities, right? Not possible at all for a one man to have. So then he was like, okay, and that her example tells her, just be very careful of what you're aiming for in life, what you want. Like that.
It's karma, like whatever you are thinking or
Yeah.
it manifests then later.
Exactly. Yeah. So karmic reactions come back and we see that. Yeah. 8:10. I was supposed to end at 7:45.
But there's one more thing I was thinking.
All right, go. Go ahead.
Like how Dronacharya or all the big personalities, learned personalities, yet we say that they did something which is not acceptable, right? Going in the sabha and asking for it or like that, or revenge. But so they are learned, they are at a level. But how Arjuna, he was a bhakta, so he never desired to take a revenge. How he was surrendered. And then he was guided by Krishna in the right way.
The right teacher. Yeah, you should have the right teacher. Yes. So, and that is why every time you read Bhagavad Gita, you get something new out of it. Yeah, every time you read it. It's a shastra that stays fresh always. Every time I read Bhagavad Gita, it's like new. This is new. This angle is new, like that. Yeah. So what's the go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
We read it together, so it is the reflection comes. Like how when you just say right, stay with dharma, though you don't have knowledge will come to you through Krishna. Right?
Yes.
Like Kauravan and Arjuna.
Yeah.
Shall we do
I think we should do. I also have a hard stop today at 9. I have to leave. So one of my friends is sick and she's in Fremont. So I said, for so many months, I was saying, I'll come and visit you. So I said, okay, I'll come and visit you today. Okay, then thank you so much for joining us here in the room and Facebook and YouTube and also on the Zoom call. Thank you so much. We'll meet again soon. And the next step is going to be Aarti.